Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Sylvester Inspires Belief Cast. Thank you once again for joining us. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Veracity Networks. Thank you so much for supporting this. I'd also like to thank Paul Cardall for the beautiful music that you heard in the beginning and towards the end of this Belief Cast that you'll hear. He's a fantastic person who's so talented. So thank you for letting me use your music. And I also want to thank all the listeners. Thank you once again for taking the time out of your day to be inspired. I've had some amazing guests on, and today's no different. Today we are joined by Silvana Vahid. Thanks for joining us, Silvana.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Silvana is one of Utah's most inspiring women. She was born and raised in Lima, Peru. She has delivered the news into Utah's Hispanic homes for the last 8 years. She was the lead news anchor and news director for the live broadcast at 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Telemundo, Utah. Through her newscast, she has converted stories that have gained national and international attention. As a news director, Silvana orchestrated the first Hispanic newscast to go live in the state of Utah. Again, I told you this woman's amazing. She's also the first Hispanic journalist in Utah to moderate a political debate. She's been in numerous magazines. She has a blog that's fantastic. I went through her blog. It's really powerful. She's talking about some very important things. She's married, happily married. She's the daughter to Gigi. Is that right? Did I say that correctly?
That is correct.
And then if I
Yes.
understand, you're also currently pregnant?
Yes, I am 10 weeks away from giving birth to my second baby
Wow.
girl.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you,
so
Todd.
excited to have you on, and you know, and I love just the way you carry yourself and the difference you're trying to make, not just in the Hispanic community, but just in the state of Utah, and then even beyond that. And I know you're trying to be an influence for good in all those areas, and I can't wait for our listeners to hear about that. Why don't we start and just tell us about life in Lima, Peru, and growing up there, and what that was like, and a little bit about your family.
Of course, Todd. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru until I was 17 years old, and I decided to come to the United States to go to school, to go to college. I had a dream of becoming a journalist before coming here at an early age. I had a beautiful childhood in Lima.
Right.
Um, Up until I was 12 years old, I believe everything was perfect in life. And then my parents got divorced, and that
Okay.
made me learn a lot at an early age. But life in Lima is beautiful. It's a big city. You learn a lot from different types of people. The culture in Peru is pretty strong, very um, men led. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of equality, and I grew up with that kind of culture.
Okay.
Um, and that made me, I believe, a stronger woman, and also that made me want to be different because I saw from
Yeah.
an early age, and I have to say also in my family, how uh, different life is for women in other parts of the world and even here in America, but we can definitely see it more in a third world country like Peru.
Right.
Um, so that's pretty much it. Was a beautiful childhood, and then, like I said, my parents got a divorce, and that changed completely my
Yeah.
way I saw life. I had a
I
perfect
bet.
life, and then, that was a heartbreaking experience, also life changing for me.
How old were you when your parents divorced?
I was 12 years old,
Okay.
and it was a pretty traumatic experience for me. There's different kinds of divorces, but my parents was pretty traumatic for me in
Okay.
different ways, and it made me very independent from an early age. So
Right.
I have to credit that experience in my life to a lot of the things that no, to the strength that I was able to gain, and that feeling of independence, because
Yeah.
your family breaks apart, and my dad had another family. My mom had to come to United States with my sister to bring her to college. So I was left with my grandmother, and I remember
Oh,
I felt
wow.
like, I have to do something on my own. I'm alone in this world.
Right.
Everyone is picking up their paths, and what is my path? What am I gonna do? So that made me pretty strong. And
Yeah.
thankfully, my parents were always there, however they could, but they had their
Yeah,
lives
sure.
too. They had their responsibilities. Unfortunately, when the separation of the family happens, there's people who have been who struggle through it.
Sure, yeah.
And I was the youngest in my family, and so that really affected me, but it affected me in a good way because I learned a lot from an early age. I had to mature early.
Right, yeah. Well, I love that
Yeah.
you say that how I mean, I know it was really difficult, especially at age 12. That's a tough time being
Hmm.
the youngest.
Yes.
But I love what you're saying that you because of it, you're a lot stronger. You learned how to be more independent, and I think that's honestly what's led to your success even to today. You're this very confident woman who's trying to make a difference in this world in such a impactful way. Was this about the time you wanted to be a journalist around age 12, or did that happen before that?
Actually, yes, around that time, my
Okay.
dad had brought a camera that we never used it anymore. And so he gave it to me. And it started because I like to write. I wrote a book when I was 14, a
Really?
little, yeah, a book about my life. It wasn't, at least for my dad, he read it for me, but I'm sure it wasn't that interesting. It was just, experiences that I would go through as
Right.
a teenager.
Right.
um, I like poetry, so I wrote some poetry. And then I also like to write scripts. And I would write scripts, I would give them to my friends, and I would have them act in front of the camera. I would be behind the camera
Oh,
producing
okay.
the whole show, or novela, which is a very Latino thing that we have, like soap operas.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
yeah, it's a novela. We call them novelas. And it was fun. I loved producing. I didn't know what I was doing, of course, back then with the camera,
Right.
but I would go everywhere with that camera, to my friends' houses, everywhere. I would take it everywhere. And then I would create these little videos or novelas, and I just enjoyed that so much. And I enjoyed writing a lot. So when I
Okay.
came to America, I had an idea of what I liked to do because that was just like a hobby I had growing up. And I didn't know I didn't know exactly if there was a profession that I could follow that had these characteristics
Right.
specifically, the use of the camera, the writing, the creative
Right.
part, and directing and all of that.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting how even though you're going through something difficult, you found like your passion at such a young age that you fell in love with the camera, so to speak, right? And putting on those little videos and things like that. And I mean, I think that's pretty neat how those kind of correlated with each other at the same time, roughly.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thankfully, my dad was always there to push me to do whatever I loved, and he always said, you have to choose something that you love. And so
Yeah.
I had a good guidance from him in that sense, in the professional way and the career wise. He's a hardworking man, and he was a good example of that,
Right.
of working hard, of being determined, knowing that
Yeah.
everything is possible, dreaming big, and all of that. So thankfully, he always pushed me to do what I loved, and from an early age. So so when I came here to America, I was ready to do what I love, and I wasn't sure what it was at first,
Sure.
but I thankfully I discovered it, and I'm thankful that I followed a
Yeah.
dream.
Yeah. Well, what a blessing that you had your dad pushing you in that direction. I think a lot of times kids don't have that type of influence. And even though your parents
Definitely.
divorced, how cool
Hmm.
that was to have a dad's like, hey, dream big and go after it. And I support you and I'll do whatever I can to kind of, make you believe that you can do anything, right? What a gift.
Exactly. It's important to have that support from parents.
Yeah.
Although my mom was here in the United States, I was in Peru. My dad was living with his family, and I was living with my grandmother. At least
Yeah.
I heard that. I had that
Yeah.
advice from him and from my mom too. I had a good example of a strong woman who has gone through so much in life
Oh man.
and still keeps a positive mind. So that's really important to keep a positive mind. For me, it's the
Yeah,
most important. Every single day I wake up and I say, okay, if I'm in a bad mood, I try to change it as soon as I can, because that changes your complete day.
for sure.
So having a positive mind is so important. So thankfully I had that example from my mother too.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome. Well, tell us about moving here to the United States and what that was like. I'm sure that had to have been a little intimidating coming to a brand new country, different culture, different language, all of that.
mhm,
How did you handle that at the time, and was it a scary
mhm.
time for you?
Yeah, so scary, so scary. I was scared. I when you're younger, you're a little bit you're I was ignorant of what a big change this was going to be.
Right.
I have to say I was scared of the language, for example, but I encountered so many other things that were difficult and hard. I had to go through a lot
Yeah.
to to I feel like it took me hard work, maybe harder than, a person who grew up here in this country. Yeah, definitely harder, because I had to learn the language, and
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to feel like I belonged in this country. And for me to be able to gain respect, the respect that I thought I deserved in my profession, my career, took years and a
Yeah.
lot of work and hard work.
Sure.
Um, so when I moved, I was 17, and I started looking for what I wanted to do. Okay, I know I like this. I like writing. I like producing, but I didn't even know the word back then. I just said
Right.
I like playing with a camera. What is that? What am I gonna
Right.
do? I love writing, and every time I show my work to people, people liked it. And
Yeah.
so I said, I think I'm a good writer. So let's see what I can do. And in a conversation with my sister one time during dinner, she actually was the one who told me, have you ever read about broadcast journalism? And my sister asked me if I had done any research about broadcast journalism, and I hadn't. So
Right.
I looked into it, and then I went to college and I asked an advisor to guide me through this process, this new process in a new language. Thankfully, they had a Hispanic advisor, and that's why I really believe in the importance of having uh,
Right.
Latino or diversity represented in all aspects in life
Sure.
and
Right.
in every single company and everywhere. But thankfully, she was very helpful, and she told me, "Why don't you try some internships and see if you really like this?" And that's what I did. I started working really early on in from when I started college,
Okay.
and I was able to see that I really liked, not only being around cameras and producing and directing and writing and all of that creative side, but also finding those stories that are very important for people who are unheard. And
Right.
I found later on in my career that before I was trying to fit in, I was trying to learn the language, I was trying to perfect
Right.
my, I don't want any accent, I want to have an American accent. It's impossible. I mean, I moved here when I was 18. It's probably possible for some people, but it's hard. It's hard
Well,
to
what's funny is we all want your accent.
yeah, it's a popular thing here in America, I learned after.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I wanted to fit in, I wanted to blend with everybody, and then I noticed that my strength was what made me different. And as a Latina, I felt, or I learned, that there was a need in our community, um, in our minority group, of
Okay. Yeah.
information, education, of having more examples of Latinas who are immigrants, not, that were not born here,
Born here.
but
Yeah.
who are immigrants, to be an example, for all of those immigrants who come to this country and have to go through so many hardships and work so hard to be able to find a new purpose here, provide for their families, and
Right.
have a good life, and overcoming all of those barriers as an immigrant is hard.
Yeah.
And I learned that, through while working, and I learned what was needed. And I am a Latina, and I said, this is my responsibility, and I found it. And that's why I focused on the Hispanic population or the Hispanic audience. And I started working hard on that. And that was
Right.
my focus from since I was in college.
Right.
I
Okay.
decided to do that. And I said, I'm going to work for the Latino market. I want to work for my Latino people. I know they
Yeah.
need a person who provides them the information they need. They need to be aware of how everything works, not only culturally, but also the government.
Right.
Health. How does it work here? You come to a new country and you don't know how a hospital works. Who's going to
Right.
cover my costs? It's a completely different world. And so all of those issues, I wanted to have them available for the Latino population in Utah
Right.
in Spanish.
Wow, that's beautiful. Did you, I mean, you seem like you kind of always kind of knew what you were going to do. Did you ever have thoughts of when you came here, like going back to Lima? Did you ever like, what am I doing here? Should I go back? I mean, did you ever struggle with being here in the beginning to the point where you even thought of maybe going back to your homeland?
You know, Lima actually had a pretty good situation back then when I first came to the United States. So thankfully, I have to say that I didn't, although I didn't actually I didn't think of going back to my country, even though I had a good situation. That's what I'm trying
Oh, gotcha.
to say, because there's so many other countries in Latin America who are going through so much, like Venezuela, for example. So I'm sure that immigrants from those countries in Latin America who are running away from crime, from so many different situations that are difficult for them to live in or to even have a good lifestyle, a livelihood.
Yeah.
I don't think you don't have that as an option. You move
Right.
here to America to make it happen.
Wow.
That's how at least I was thinking, and I know a lot of our immigrants think. You move to America to provide for your family a better life that you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to have in in those countries in Latin
Right.
America. So I didn't have that thought because there's so many more opportunities here. Even though it was hard, I continued. I looked forward and I was positive about everything. And I said,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I'm in a very Caucasian state too, in
Sure. Yeah.
Utah. Where is my Hispanic population, at first?
Right.
But yeah, we're there. We're present. There's so
Yeah.
many. We're about what 20% in the state now.
Wow,
Um,
that's awesome.
so it's important to have, you know, uh, your information in Spanish and everything in your own language, especially when there's people there that need to hear and be able to understand how everything works, and they need to be aware of everything. So that's why I focused on on us, the Latinos.
Yeah, the Latinos, that's awesome. Do you feel like people when you got here and obviously your influences, really felt in Utah. Do you feel like people have been supportive? Either those that are the same, same race as you or outside of that, have people been supportive of you and helping you along the way that way? Or did you feel resistance in that area?
I felt a lack of interest in the
Oh, okay.
beginning.
Gotcha.
So when I started working in Telemundo, I remember um, we didn't have a big relationship with the government, local government, or um, the health department, or different areas in the
Right.
state that are important. That a media station should have. Um, we were focused very much on the human stories. What are our Latino people going through more than this is what you need to know. And so it was a struggle to be able to like I said in the beginning, say, hi, my name is Silvana Effio, and I'm from Telemundo, Utah. And we're looking for an interview because we need to let our people know in Spanish. And they wouldn't have a person who spoke Spanish back then.
Right. Right.
I truly believe that the hard work that we put in as journalists, Hispanic journalists in Utah, um, into pushing, representatives and everyone in the state to do interviews, also motivated them to hire more Hispanics in their areas.
Right.
So in the beginning, it was hard because we had to translate everything. But
Yeah.
by in the last few years, that has definitely made a lot of progress. And I completely understand that we didn't have that representation or um, those Latinos present in different areas because there was not a lot of Latino journalists who were working to have those interviews in Spanish or
Right.
but it has grown in the last few years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
No,
yes.
that's beautiful that you're doing that. Do you feel like a lot of people have reached out to you too that want to do what you're doing? Someone, some, Latinos and Latinas, have they reached out to
Yes.
you and said, "Hey, how did you get started? I want to do what you're doing."
Yes. Well, while working in Telemundo, I um, I was always looking for interns because I knew there were Latinos out
Right.
there, or Latinx that wanted to work or become journalists for the Hispanic population or focus in the Hispanic market. And we always had people who were interested
Right.
in being interns with us, and so it's hard. It's a hard career because it's very competitive
Yeah.
and so many people want to do it, and they think it's easy and they think it only takes 30 minutes on air. That's what most
Right.
people see, the
Right.
newscast. They see the 30-minute newscast, but it's much
Yeah.
more than that. It's understanding the community that you are talking to. It's so much more. It's a lot of work. It's hard work. And
Right.
they learned that when they came in as interns. They learned, this is a lot. This is more than I thought.
Right.
I thought I was just going to be on camera, but that the camera part is only 30 minutes of your whole life. Being a
Yeah.
journalist is uh it's a 24-hour job.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I love what you said a little earlier. You said when you moved here, and you said what kind of the attitude of other immigrants is, I'm coming here to make it happen. There's no,
Hmm.
really like no looking back almost, right? It's
Yeah.
like, you know
Hmm.
what? As hard as it's going to be, I'm going to figure this out. And what's interesting when you say that, Silvana, is when we go back to your childhood and you were going through that difficult time at around age 12 with your family,
Hmm.
how that is probably what kind of kept you going, because you realize how strong you were and you had to learn that at a very
Hmm.
young age, right?
Hmm. Definitely, definitely. I think struggles make us stronger people.
Mm,
They make us better. They help us learn, through when we're going through them. Um, it's challenging, of course. It's the probably the hardest time in your life, but then that struggle is what helps you achieve your goals,
wow.
your biggest goal in life.
I
And
love it.
I I believe that really because I've gone through much more than my parents' divorce. Of course, I think we all
Sure.
do. We have
Oh
so many
yeah.
struggles in life. But the I don't mention the other struggles or situations or difficult, things that I've been through, because um, I feel like I've been able to go through them quickly
Right.
or quicker. Having a broken family has taught me so much, and up until this day, I
Wow.
still think about it, and it still affects me,
Right.
and I just believe in family very much. I believe that having values, principles, and strong principles in your family is very important to hold them together. And I think that that is very important to have in your life.
Yeah.
And the fact that I didn't have that at an early age was difficult to accept. It took me so many years, but I was still able to overcome that. And
Yeah.
so, even though it's the most important thing in life for me, I'm still here, I'm still strong, I'm
Yeah.
still working hard. And, my now I'm building my own family, and I'm excited to have that for the rest of my life forever. And that is my dream. That is my real dream, to
Right.
have a family who stays together, who works as a team, that
Right.
motivates each other, every single day to continue to, live this life.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. Obviously, we mentioned you are a mom to a cute little
Mhm.
daughter named Gigi, right? And you got one
Mhm.
on the way. I would
Yes.
imagine you're probably pretty excited to maybe share some of those same, you know, uh,
Mhm.
attributes and principles you were talking about, like what your dad was teaching you. Dream big, go after your dream, believe in yourself, that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I'm sure you're probably already kind of doing that as a mom. Tell us, what is it like being a mom? How has that been for you?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's more it's harder than I thought. I
Sure.
feel like I value the job of moms more than ever now. I am so thankful to my mom now that I've learned how hard it is to be a mom. And I when I became a mom, I actually left my job of Telemundo as a news anchor. I changed my life completely. I moved to Orange County, California, and
Yeah.
I did everything for the well-being of my family.
Yeah.
Thinking as a team, it was the best thing for us. And so it has been difficult, but it's beautiful. I enjoy it every single day. My little Gigi, she makes me the happiest person in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of work, and I admire moms and single moms. Oh my goodness, how they
Right.
do
Yeah.
everything. And those moms who are entrepreneurs, who are, are working and who have a baby and they're single, and they're incredible. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for a lot of different people that I didn't even, think about before so much.
Sure. Yeah.
And now I have them in my mind always.
Yeah. That's beautiful. If there's someone listening to your story right now who's struggling, maybe they're trying to find their purpose in life or something they can be passionate about, or they're just trying to, fit in somewhere. What's some advice that you could maybe give them based off the stuff that you've been through?
Hmm. Actually, I don't believe in fitting in. I believe in
Ooh.
embracing your differences. And whatever
Ooh.
makes you different is your strength. So if you so take advantage of that. Whatever makes you different is your strength. I have
Okay. Love that.
I well, as an immigrant, that's something that I learned. I'm so different here. I don't fit in into any group. I felt like that before, and
Yeah.
and I learned that that made me that actually helped me find my purpose of helping my community, of focusing as a journalist
Right.
in this specific minority group. So I truly believe in that. Whatever makes you different is your strength, and take advantage of that and find that. Find what makes me different.
Yeah.
How
Okay.
what is that specific, attribute that I have that makes me different to others, that maybe you're considering as an imperfection, and it might be your strength.
Right.
So studying yourself as a human being, being aware of who you are, is very important to be able to find that, of course. So
Yeah.
um, I work really hard in doing that, in finding, what I believe in, who I am, how did um, I become who I am today,
Yeah.
um, and on a daily basis, how do I change as a person? As a mom, for example, how has my life changed? and what kind of person am I now that I have a
Yeah.
child, you know, and
Yeah.
definitely becoming a mom has made me more aware of everything I think about, everything I do, every single word I say, I'm aware
Right.
of. I feel like for my daughter, um,
Yeah.
so that has
No, I love
helped
that.
me.
Very well said. And you are a perfect example of someone who's taken their differences and they have become your superpowers, your strengths. And that's why you're doing so many great things. And you've been such a huge influence, not just in the, the Latino and the Hispanic community, but in all communities, and you've made a huge impact in Utah, and now you're doing it elsewhere.
Mhm.
What are your future plans? Like what's next for you? Are you going to continue doing what you're doing right now, or do you have other big plans in mind that you can maybe share with us?
Yes, I will definitely continue to work as a journalist, and
Okay.
that is my plan. For now, I am focusing. I'm pregnant, so I'm focusing in my family and my
Yeah.
daughter, and having a healthy pregnancy. And I'll go back to the workforce as soon as I
Yeah.
feel like my daughters are good, you know,
Right.
on being maybe going to school or staying at home without me, thankfully. And I have to say this is a blessing. It's a luxury that I can stay at home for now
Right.
and have this kind of time to focus on my family and to focus on my children. And I have to, I have a great admiration for my husband, and thank thankfully I have him by my side,
Right.
and we have him as a family. And I
Sure.
can take this break from my career, which is not really a break because I'm always writing, I'm always doing something. I have a blog where I write
Right.
about so many different topics. And I'm always networking here, and I'm always meeting
Yeah.
people. I feel like networking is one of the most important things you can do as as a professional, as
For
a
sure.
person who wants to find a job ever. So for anyone, it is important to meet people, to meet different people. And so I'm always working, even if I'm focusing on my family right now.
Wow, I love it.
And plans, I do have it, but I have a plan, but I think it's a little bit too early to share.
Okay, that's fine. No, so
I'll keep you posted.
keep me posted and we'll share it later. But no, that's cool. And I'm sure you do have some big plans, again, like being inspired by your dad growing up, by what he was telling you to dream big and go after it. If someone
Mhm.
wants to reach out to you, Silvana, and they want to find out where they can read your blog and learn more about you, and if they have a question for you, what would be the best way? How can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. My handle is Silvana Effio. So Silvana EFFIO.
Okay.
And my website is the same, silvanafio.com. Pretty easy
Pretty easy.
after
Yes.
you get how my last name is written.
Right.
And on Facebook, I also have a public page there, and I'm always posting and keeping people updated with whatever I think it's important for them and things that are also positive and fun to see on social media.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. And I want people to, check that out and do that. But I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. And I know that you're home, getting ready to have a baby, and that's fantastic. But I just want to thank you for what you're doing to inspire other people, in your community, and what you did here in Utah was fantastic. And you came highly recommended to me, and now I know why. I've done, I've followed you and seen what you're doing, and you inspire me to want to make a difference and be better in what I'm doing. And so, thank you, Silvana, for sharing your wonderful story and inspiring me. And I'm sure people listening to this are inspired as well.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I can't wait to see the interview
Yeah,
and
it's
more
gonna
of
be.
your interviews, which I've
Oh,
heard a few in the last few days
oh, thank
since
you.
we
Well,
got in contact. And you do an amazing job. And you have like I told you before we
yeah.
started this. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Something happened there. That
yeah.
what you do is amazing to inspire people to share your story of
Thank you.
strength, and everything that you've gone through. So for me, it's very special to be here present in your podcast. Thank you for considering me for this.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're fantastic. Well, there you go, folks. There's another amazing person, Silvana Effio Vahid. We'll say it like that. And please check
Mhm.
her out and reach out to her. And if you have a question for her, check out her blog. And she really is making a difference, and she can inspire you as well. And thank you for listening. And I can't wait till we get you back on the air. And Silvana, best of luck with everything you're doing, and with your with your family, and then your current edition that's coming here soon. Good luck with all of that. And to
Thank
the,
you. Thank
and
you,
God,
Todd.
yeah, you betcha. And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.